to another episode of The Walk. My name's Gareth. I'm joined once again by my mate Phil.
Morning.
And we are in the North Derbyshire town of Chesterfield, just on the outskirts of the Peak District National Park. We're here to follow the former Midland Railway's Monkwood Colliery Branch. Now, this branch served a couple of collieries in North Chesterfield, but it's old, isn't it? It's been gone a long time, like late 1800s. So it's going to be a bit of a scramble.
It's going to be a scramble. It's going to need some good detective work and a keen eye.
Lucky I got Phil. So this is where we're going to start the stomp. This is an industrial estate just north of Chesterfield, but it used to be an enormous ironworks, the Sheepbridge ironworks. We're going to walk up on the former track bed. We're going to have a look at another colliery that went off to Nesfield, another couple of collieries down there, and then we're going to get on that Monkwood branch and we're going to follow it all the way up to the former colliery and see what we can find. So this doesn't look like much, ladies and gentlemen. It's just a wooded area at the edge of a rather noisy industrial estate. But suddenly, we're jumping on clues. So what was going on here, Phil? Because we've got one railway bridge and it appears to be another railway bridge.
Well, as you said, Sheepbridge ironworks around there. There's also Albert Colliery just past there. And eventually all these array of lines came into a more manageable amount, and they came across these two bridges and carried on along the industrial estate until they fanned out to the junction of the Nesfield and the Monkwood branch. So I'm not sure why there were two required, I don't know, but nevertheless they are here, and it's interesting that they're still here in the middle of the industrial estate. Yeah,
I love it, just the fact that there's remains of them. So if you look at this photo of Sheepbridge ironworks, it was enormous, as ironworks in Derbyshire often were. You know, you've got Stanton ironworks and Staveley ironworks as well. And look at that. There you go. I mean, that looks a bit grim. Well, that's amazing little remain. I didn't know this was here. I had no idea, mate, so I'm well happy with that. Phil!
Oh, mate!
Mate! We got embedded rail, that's mad!
Yeah, it is.
I wasn't expecting that.
Well, I knew the line ran along the course of this road, but I didn't expect that it was like going to be here, to be honest, and I never noticed it, so that's quite good, isn't it? That's
because the bridge is literally just in those trees, so we've come round, and this is the branch line. Bearing in mind, this branch line, well, even if this is the continuation going off into Nesfield, this still went in 1930. Yeah,
but the lines further along were maybe down into the 60s. They might have been using them as head shunts from the ironworks, possibly, which might be the reason they survived.
Yeah, maybe, but that's amazing. Great piece of history, Phil said, mate. So we've seen that bit of rail, which is an amazing bonus, but basically there's nothing left. This is Dunstan Colliery then, basically, what we're at now?
Yeah, this side on the left. This is almost where the point at where the line split and your Nesfield branch sort of went round to the left beyond this colliery side, and the Monkwood branch sort of started climbing to his right.
Got ya, let's not get run over. Okay, so we're going to keep stomping then. It's mad now to look at this. This was a colliery, it was a branch line off to Nesfield Colliery. You just wouldn't know, would you? At all. But when we get a little bit further down, it will become apparent at that point, and there's track beds and hopefully there's some remains, fingers crossed, some remains in the woods. So we've walked up a little bit further to something called Smelting Wood Close, and you've got a hunch about a bush.
Well, from what I can gather, that we're right at the top side of the old Dunstan Colliery. And them bushes there are shown on old maps as Ayrshire. So whether it is something to do with the colliery, which we're right on the edge of now, remains to be seen, but it's bang on the same spot. And if you look on images from above, that looks like it's like either a little pond in there or a hole. I don't think it'd be a hole because it'll be fenced off, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you think so, yeah.
It's just a coincidence.
Yeah.
That they've just put that feet here. It's naturally grown round. You sometimes get on top of lead mine shafts, you get like a little copse, especially when they've took spoil out, they made a bit of a mound and you get growth on it. So it's pretty strange.
Could well be. I mean, the people are looking out the window at us like we're a pair of weirdos talking about their bush, but there you go. So we're at the edge now of the industrial estate. As you can see, that's the end of the industrial estate there, right through that fence. Now, we're pretty much, I think, on the track bed. But it's not that discernible, is it, Phil?
It's only discernible because it's at the edge of the field, which is behind this tree line, so it's obviously was here.
Yeah, it was here. So this is where the junction to Monkwood Colliery is coming out. So we're going to basically follow it as far as we can until we essentially get out into the countryside a little bit more. And then at that point, the track bed should become more obvious and remains should hopefully rear their beautiful heads. Okay, Phil's not only found some track bed, but found our way onto some track bed. So through there's some fishing ponds, but this tree line that you can just see from the air as it kind of skirts around the fishing ponds and then off into the field, this is the branch line. This is the Monkwood branch of the Midland Railway. Now the Midland Railway came through this area in the 1840s, but these, oh, stung my leg. These collieries, it's about 3 on the end of this line, didn't come along until the 1860s, so they were late, and they didn't last long either, lasting only up until 1885. So in terms of remains today, like I was saying earlier, of Monkwood Colliery, of, did you say Crow's Nest Colliery as well?
Yeah, Crow's Nest was a very short-lived one, right at the end of the tramway, yeah.
Right at the end. Yeah, 1885, and then when we get to Monkwood, there was actually an incline that went up. Now that's where we're hoping to find some remains. Ow! But it is, you know, a wing and a prayer a little bit, folks. As Phil just said to me here, this path's a bit of a wing and a prayer now as well, lots of stingers. But we are on a track bed, so I think it is just going to take us. Yeah, so that's your track bed then, and you can see again, as I say, as it goes across the field. We'll skirt around then and probably have to get a more passable route, because I don't know about you, Phil, but I don't fancy that, mate. So we've had to walk round because this is private land, but that is the continuation of that track bed that we were walking by the fishing ponds. So what we're going to do is actually kind of come round this area, because it's built up sort of houses and farms, but this is the original Monkwood Colliery basically, isn't it?
Yeah,
the site.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, there was it actually went further than Monkwood. It went to a very small colliery where they must have sunk a shaft for some reason called, I think it's Crow's, I won't say Crow's Feet then, but it won't be that, well, it'll be Crow's Nest.
Crow's Nest.
They didn't seem to last very long. I think that was another one that sort of had a small life in the 1890s. So yeah, we'll do that, and of course there's also a new Monkswood Colliery that was up a slight incline up there, which we'll try and find, and also Barlow Lees was inclined, which I believe is completely landscaped now. So as well as this colliery here, there was these spears going into other collieries that we're going to try and see if we can see anything of.
But we can get on a pathway that's basically true to the track bed in a second, and as Phil says, what we're going to do is we're basically going to follow that track bed all the way down to this Crow's Nest or Crow's Feet colliery, see what's kicking about there. I think there's an old smelting work and stuff which dates back to the 1500s, you were telling me, Phil.
So, yeah.
And then from there we're going to try and get up to these 2 collieries and see what remains of them, because where the inclines went is all private land, and it's not only is it private land, but there's a shooting competition going on. So if I'm going to go on private land, it's not going to be on shooting day. And there you go. I ain't arguing with signs like that. So we're just on a bit of a footpath now, and if you look at this drone footage, you see there's that lake there, and then there's that field just to the right of it. That's basically the site of the original Monkwood Colliery. It's just a field, but it would have been obviously the site of a colliery. It would have been the site of siding, so all those trucks all lined up coming off these inclines, because that hedgerow there is one of those inclines up to the new Monkwood Colliery. So you wouldn't think it now to basically look at a really quiet field, but this would have been pretty noisy, wouldn't it, Phil?
Well, I don't know what, there was like transferring trucks from these inclines, because I think they came over on a gantry, so there'd been all sorts of clanging and banging to get them off. But I think at the time when that was running, they'd already exhausted the stock of coal here, hence why they'd put another one
a bit further up, yeah. So this bit here, where it kind of, you know, the track bed, obviously a train's not going to do that. This is the point where one incline goes off into Monkwood, that one, and then another one goes off there, doesn't it?
Kind of diagonally, but that's been landscaped completely. There's no tree line, nothing. Well, luckily this kind of hedgerow is the clue there, but you can see actually that it is a little bit steep. because when you look down on satellite imagery, you don't know what it's like. But if you read into history, it does imply that it was an incline. What kind of incline out was powered, blah, 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 I just don't know.
No, but what we'll do is when we get to the end, we're going to try and come round those fields up to the top and see. I'm confident. Are you confident?
60-40.
Is that 60-40 in favour?
Yeah,
in favour.
Yeah.
I'll take those odds. I'll take them.
Yeah.
So we're on the track bed now, right, Phil?
Well, I reckon we're almost on it, yeah, because the colliery site would have ended just about here, and this would all come into one line going over to Crow's Nest. So I just noticed this border wall here.
Yeah.
It could be a coincidence, but it could be this single line that's sort of carrying on up towards Crow's Nest. But
yeah, I mean that's old. That's old.
Yeah.
And it's not like a wall, a fence, because look at the height of it. So that is a border, isn't it? Yeah. And there's your track bed then. And before we get to this Crow's Nest colliery, which is actually quite a posh country estate thing now. Before we get to that, there was a smelting works that Phil was saying, I mean, he'll give me the exact dates, but he was saying basically dates from the 1500s and was gone by the 1700s, so it was gone even before this railway and colliery turned up. That could be the track bed now as well, actually, to be fair, couldn't it? It sort of dips down into a bit of a... What are the exact dates on it?
So,
drum roll?
Yeah, it's around 1580s to the 1650s is Lees Bridge Smelt Mill. Now, it ain't showing up on maps, but being as Lees Bridge is an old sort of Packhorse bridge, it's down there, it's got to be down in this area somewhere along here.
Yeah, okay, so we'll look for some what? Stonework and...
Stonework, old footings or... well, we don't know.
Okay, so we're at the site now of that smelt mill, and I'll be honest with you, it's a bit confusing. Because there's your beautiful little brook, but this is engineered, and we don't know whether this is a track bed or whether that's the track bed down there.
No, but this brook's got to be connected to powering the mill in some shape or form, hasn't it? Because it's built here.
Yeah.
Because of the fact it's near water, which is obviously going to be needed in some shape or form for the mill.
Of course, but as Phil made a pretty good point in my ear, that actually, because this smelt mill was long gone, well before the railway came along, obviously the remains aren't, you know, they're not conjoined, are they, for one? Well, but also the railway could have decimated
it could have done,
a lot of remains.
There's a tributary there, look, coming off of this brook here, look, and if you can see over there, there's a really old, is that a worker's path?
Well, here, there's stonework here too, look.
Yeah.
This is nice what they've done here. I'm not sure what this is about, but like the teepees and stuff's cool. But yeah, this is, I mean, yeah, this is old. That's hella old.
Yeah.
So is that the base of a wall or of a building, do you think?
Yeah, because look how flat this is. There must have been a building here, look. This is completely flat for a reason, isn't it? It's not coincidental. And also the path coming, we think, probably came into this mill. If you look at them piers there, look how, well, yeah, I mean,
yeah, again, it's...
that had to cross here somewhere, and I think it probably crossed there on the
The railway went like that?
Probably, and then there's a bit of a worker's path, shall we call it, here now. Whether they used, whether this was something to do with water power for the mill, all the structures have gone now, I don't know, but this looks... Yeah,
because this path, I mean, that's relatively new, but this stonework's old. I mean, it's been repointed, you can see, but this is old. Yeah. So that could have been, could have been powering a wheel here or something. I'm not, you know.
Who knows?
But
I don't know what power they needed in them days.
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, that makes sense because there's a shelf there, isn't there? So I think the railway's on top. I think you're right. I think it goes over a bridge there, and then that would make total sense to go bosh onto that track bed, which is
this could have been the Packhorse ford, as it was, like a ford, you know, a ford going on water. So this is this sort of dip here for horse and carts, maybe just
and underneath.
Yeah.
I think you're on that, mate. I do love theorising because it's very difficult to get evidence because it was basically around for a year. Did you say about 1891? It basically shows up for 1 year, this particular colliery.
Well, the colliery at the end, when I've looked on a database, just gives its name and says 1890. It doesn't say to 1890 or after 1890, so it's inconclusive. Yeah. But being as all the others around here went in the 1890s, you would imagine that's when it ended.
Yeah.
But why they had to sink into the shaft right at the end of the year, they must have found, you know.
Must have found something, yeah. But if it did last a year, that's
seems odd.
Yeah, but sometimes you find that, like they would build this incredible infrastructure of bridges and all sorts, and it would last a year or sometimes 18 months, and you're like, what a lot of effort. So here's your track bed then, basically going off into, what's that, Barlow Country Club. Now this bridge is old. That's old, isn't it? So what did you say this was? Sheffield, Chesterfield, Packhorse
Well,
Road.
there was quite a few routes, weren't there, between the two places, so this is one of them, and hence it's only for cars, and that's why this is so narrow.
It's really narrow. So let us come round underneath, because it's nice walking on old bridges, but the view is always better from underneath. And there you go. Looks like it's had a bit of a rebuild, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a little bit. Looks like they've put a top on it, but that's the original. In fact, the original underneath looks narrow, so you wouldn't be getting a car if they didn't widen it. Just look how narrow it is.
No, no. So that road now, that Packhorse Road, is actually called Smelting House Way, which makes complete sense in terms of where that smelting mill was. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to walk up now and try and get across to the top of those two inclines, to those two additional collieries, and see if there aren't any remains there. Fingers crossed. I'm gagging for some remains, folks. This would have been the continuation of that Packhorse Road, I'm guessing then. So you'd have come across that little bridge on a horse and cart, of course, and I mean these are really old. Amazing, treading in the same footsteps as goodness knows who. So we're stomping up, a bit out of breath, but basically what we should do at some point is intersect the Barlow Lees incline, and we'll see if there's some remains, because it's got to come over us, surely.
Yeah.
Or under us. So Phil's been looking on the map, trying to work out where we are, and he spotted that we're near a place called Crowhole, which would suggest that the colliery was called Crowhole Colliery. Not Crow's Feet,
apologies.
not Crow's Nest.
My crow theory, it's not worked out very well, has it?
Right, so we've left Russell Crowe Colliery behind, and now, okay, so the Barlow Lees Colliery is in the field up there that we've just come from. No remains, all landscaped away, but it would have had to have crossed this at some point. So I'm going to cling to the side and not fall in, with a bit of luck, in the hope that there's some remains of the bridge crossing. In theory. I mean, it's loose remains and it's a wing and a prayer, but it's 1885 that this is gone, so we're talking ridiculous amount of time that it's been gone. Here we go, mate. This has got to be it. It's got to be it, because that's proper solid stonework. I mean, the trees have, you know, grown through it, which has kind of done it a bit, but it would make sense that it's come across, over, and then up into the colliery. I mean, they're engineered bits of rock, aren't they? Bits of stone, look. Surely. Yeah, there's plenty of remains on the floor as well. So it makes sense for that to be the bridge remains, you know, the stanchions of that bridge. I know it's minimal remains, folks, but we're going hella old and I've stung myself to bits, so I'm gonna say it's worth it. Now what we're going to do, if I don't get my hat ripped off, is head up to what was the new Monkwood Colliery and see what remains we can find there. Fingers crossed, a decent ending. Fingers crossed. So we've walked across a couple of fields now, folks, and we found a decent path. So we're going to follow this, and if your sums are correct from what you found, it should be on the left, the remains of Monkwood New Colliery.
Yep.
No pressure. Now this is the pit tip. This has got to be the pit tip. Look at the colour of it. Oh mate, I'm out of breath, folks. I've been clambering all over this shop trying to find some remains. I'm pretty sure this big pile here is the spoil heap. But I'm not really here to see a spoil heap. Right, we can't find the colliery remains as yet, but we found remains of the incline going across. Okay, right. So this is the line we were looking at earlier then?
Yeah, it's one into what's called, is it Lees, what was it called?
Barlow Lees Colliery. Yeah, so this is the Barlow Lees Colliery.
Crossing over the Packhorse Road, I think.
Okay, right. So these are some remains we weren't necessarily expecting. They're not the colliery remains, annoyingly, but it's still very, very old.
It should be the inclined tramway route going over into the Barlow Lees. But it would have been probably higher, you'd have thought, actually, than this. And it might have been arched, but I'm not sure.
Hang on, we found some more old remains. Well, okay, let me have a look. So I'm not sure what this is, but I know it is old. Phil, this is seriously old, mate.
Yeah, well, this looks like the brook coming down from Monkwood Colliery, and I read somewhere that stone to this bridge was taken out of a very small colliery nearby. Well, we went past that back up there, didn't we?
We did. Mate, that is so old. So is this the Packhorse bridge then?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Let me have a look, what's going on here? So there's lots of rocks kind of all collapsed. This is so old, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to kill the focus a little bit. But that's amazing. Right, I'm going to climb over and go to the other side and have a look, because normally, obviously, I like a tunnel, so I'd clamber underneath it, but it didn't feel that safe, to be honest. So I'm just going to kind of walk down and have a look the other side. There you go. I'm actually tangled up in a bush at the moment. But that's amazing. That is so old, ladies and gentlemen. That was an added little bonus, that bridge arch. So we found some remains, folks. I mean, we're kind of trekking around like a pair of prats a bit, but obviously we found those bridges in Chesterfield, and then the embedded rail in Chesterfield, which was amazing. We've had quite a bit of track bed, to be fair, and then we found, I think, two crossings of that, because we found one going across the river and then one going across the Packhorse of that incline, and then obviously we've got that little bridge as well, so there might even be more, who knows. And Phil fell over earlier, but I wasn't filming, was I, Phil?
No.
It goes to show the dedication, though, to the cause, mate.
Yeah, I know where we are now.
There we go. So after a big scramble and lots of stingers and thorns, we've basically ended up back at the Smelting mill. So we've kind of done a full circle from there to try and find these incline remains. I'm happy with what we found. I hope you are, ladies and gentlemen. It's a bit late now if you're not, to be honest, if you've invested this much time. But it's amazing to see what remains of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's great when you find old stuff, and maybe it's got a visitor centre and it's owned by English Heritage or managed by English Heritage, whatever, that's great. But stuff like this, where you're literally scrambling, no one knows it's here, like no one's got a clue that it's here. And yeah, you get stung a bit, but you find stuff which is hundreds and hundreds of years old, walking routes that thousands of people would have done hundreds of years ago with, you know, whatever their story was. It's amazing. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, back at the ancient 16th century smelting mill on the outskirts of Chesterfield. Nice one, Phil. So that's us, a bit out of breath, a bit stung, but I enjoyed that. Nice one, Phil.
Well, yeah, it were difficult.
Phil seems disappointed, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm not disappointed. It's just so much scrambling around for, you know, not a great deal in return, if you like. But you know, if we don't go to this place and have a look around, you're not going to find them, are you?
Exactly, and take it as that we've done you a favour, ladies and gentlemen. So now you don't need to come scrambling. Although I'll be honest, I love it, because anything that old is awesome. Cheers, Phil.
Yeah,
nice one, mate.
Yeah, nice one.
Take care, everyone. See you later.